What's up, y'all? Obviously, it's been a little minute, man. But you know, we are at over 1,600 subscribers. So welcome newcomers. I appreciate y'all for coming through. You know, it's always nice to see new faces around this joint. So listen, for those who are new here, my name is Sean Brooks. I am a DP based in Chicago. I do all type of stuff: wedding films, narrative work, documentaries. I mean, honestly, I do it all. I have the #1 business in Chicago for commercial productions. Google me. It's Brookssmedia. But today we're discussing a monitor that I got for review. And I want to say this. No, this company did not pay me to do this review. And I'm gonna keep it all the way up thigh wide with y'all. Like, I told them my issues with it, and I was like, hey, listen, I do want to work with y'all, but I have some issues about this monitor. It's a good monitor, but the review ain't gonna be all sunshines and rainbows. I was like, hey, listen, do you? We want to work with you anyway. We are about making our product even better. I said, shit, say less. So today we're reviewing the Osee, whatever you want to pronounce it as, 4K monitor. Okay, so the way we're gonna do it is gonna go good, bad, good, bad. So that way, for people who's watching the videos, you're not gonna just get all the good stuff in the joint in the front, or you're not gonna get all the bad stuff in the front. You see what I'm saying? You have to watch the video to kind of know my whole issue with this monitor. This is the monitor, right? It's a big 7-inch panel, 1900 by 1200 monitor. So we're gonna start off with the good first, which is the size of the display and the monitor itself, right? So this thing, it goes up to 3,000 nits. Now, for those who kind of have a hard time, you know, making that into like a real world thing, your phone is about usually 1,000 to 1,500 nits. So 3,000 nits is more than good enough for you to view it outside. So if you're viewing outside in like direct sunlight, you have no problem viewing this. And the fact that you control the backlight to how bright you want it, the viewing display on this is gonna be very immersive and right there in your face. Especially if you're trying to dial in folks, you like an AC puller. This is something that you may want to consider. The first con that we're gonna dive into now is the branding of it. Now, as you can see, they clearly have 4K labeled here, right? On this monitor. I may use this as a thumbnail so you see I move my finger, and to me, you would think like, oh, it's a 4K monitor. No, because the pixel readout of this thing is 1920 by 1200. That's, you know, that's 1080 like a month, if you ask me, right? But the thing is, it accepts a 4K signal. So to me, I'm be real with y'all, it's a little cheeky, if I have to be real, in regards to the branding. So it is a 1080, essentially it's a 1080 monitor that can accept a 4K signal. It's not a 4K monitor. So the next pro about this monitor is the fact that it is lightweight. I will say this, like, if you're trying to like rig this up onto like a cinema rig, mainly a cinema rig, right? If you're trying to use it as a cinema rig, or just kind of like just put it on top of your camera just for like a good viewing angle, a good viewing assist. I will say that this thing actually is very light. Like, it's definitely lighter than a Ninja V in my opinion. Again, in my opinion, we're not finna think about grams and specs. Like, how does it feel in my hand? It definitely feels lighter than the Ninja V to me. With that comes with another con, which is gonna be the build quality. So listen, here's kind of where the con's gonna kind of sit a little bit heavy with me, because this monitor is $400, right? But you can get the Ninja V for under $400 now. You know what I'm saying? Especially like if you're getting it used, you could definitely find it, you know what I'm saying, used for like around $350, $370, and that's a recorder. No, it's not 7-inch, and nor does it have 3,000 nits. So, you know, you're getting some some pros with that price. But the point is, man, the build quality on this thing, I'm not too impressed. Like, because it's lightweight, it's made out of just some plastics. But one thing, you know, and we gonna actually just kind of merge this kind in together. And one of the main cons is just like, it just feels cheap, low key. You know what I'm saying? Like the button, it feels very mushy. I feel like if I move this thing too hard, it's gonna break. Like to be real, I hate the button. I hate the button on this monitor. I hate it. I'd rather use a touchscreen. And again, for something cheaper or somewhere in the same ballpark, you get a monitor that are touchscreen, that have better builds, and you don't have to worry about like light leaks and all that. Like, you know, even here, like, as I was looking at this monitor, like kind of like down here in the scenes, you can almost kind of see the monitor display like kind of coming away from the housing of it a little bit. And I don't, you know, again, be for $400, that's kind of a tough sell when I know there's other monitors out there that has a touch screen, that has better functionality, like just, I mean, they have a touchscreen. I think that's like one of the main cons that I have about this thing. Really, like, this button is trash. I think it's gonna break if I leave it in my book bag or something bounce up against it or something. Like, it feels like it's just gonna give it out at any moment. I hate that. Now, the next pro about this monitor, which it does have over like the other monitors that I mentioned, like the Ninja V in particular, is the way it handles false color. Listen, you know, I see people all the time and saying like, you know, false color this, false color that, but to be real, on the Ninja V, it's way too confusing. We have the monitor, right? So we're gonna change this to 4K because it can do a 4K signal. Have a look, which is gonna automatically go here. You turn it off, on, off, on. It's a pretty accurate like representation of what we're looking at, right? here. Now this is coming from an iPhone, so keep that in mind. Now if we go to false color, turn that on, right? We're getting a really good representation of like what's exposed, what's too hot, like, you know what I mean? So like right now, if I want to kind of like come down and kind of like get into that, you can see he's getting, we can see my man's there, he's getting darker, right? Because he's falling more into this blue realm here, but he's still recoverable. Once you kind of get here, like his eyeballs and all that, they're saying like that's not recoverable, as you can see, right? And now see, this is a prime example why honestly I don't really like using false color on the Ninja V, because like what am I looking at right now? Like, why do I have to have so many bars in comparison to the Osee Tech 47, right? Or the Osee Tech, whatever. It's just like a clear indication bar, like, hey, if you here, you good. Here is like, I mean, if you want to be here, you can be here, but if you also, you can be a little hot here, but then you can be a little underexposed here. And it's like, bro, just tell me where I need to be at, so I can get the proper readings, because according to this here, I am underexposed, like by his skin, versus here I'm in the same exact settings that I was on here, right? In which it showed me that my man's was exposed correctly, but now I'm getting here and it's like, okay, well, you're kind of in this blue part, and you're starting to lose information. You're gonna start losing information in some of these areas. Like now here, like we got like this little light of gray here, right? But am I looking at this light of gray here, or am I looking at this light of gray here? Like, you see the difference? Let me show you all again. Which lighter gray am I looking at? This one here or this one here? You see what I'm saying? Like, that's the Ninja V way they do false color is just way too difficult. And let's just try to like just add some till we get my man's. And I guess so. I'm assuming that the higher we went, the lighter gray lets me know like he's kind of here in this exposure level. But again, is he in this exposure level? Like, there's like 3 different grays, and I don't know which one I should be aiming for. Versus here, it's like, hey, if you're green, you're good. So I really do wish the Ninja V kind of like figure out a better way to do exposure and false color, because the way they do false color is trash in comparison to this. So I love the way they do false color on here. So I hate using false color on the Ninja V for that reason. So if I was like doing like a narrative project, especially like documentary work, and that's when like a very accurate reading, I would definitely pick this up over the Ninja V. Moving on to the next con of this is navigating the menu. Now with this trash ass button, like I was telling you all, navigating these menus, it's just not a good experience, because like, sometimes you switch pages too fast and then you scare like, should I go back? But then again, like the whole time I'm like low-key worried, like, man, if I keep using this button too much, this motherfucker might break on me. And just but navigating this menu is not the best. Like, essentially you can kind of have like quick options here, but then they have like different pages, right? So you can cycle through page 1 and 2, so you can have like different pages set up for different things. Maybe like you got like a different camera, you have a page dedicated to whatever camera that you're using, which is dope. But again, just navigating it versus something like a touchscreen, especially if you're coming from like a Ninja V, it's gonna be cumbersome, if I had to be honest. I don't like navigating the menu in this monitor. Now, another thing I like about this monitor in comparison again to the Ninja V is the fact that a lot of the LUTs that you need are actually already built in. Like I was having a hard time for some reason loading LUTs to my Ninja V and to the Atomos Inferno, the Atomos Inferno, the Ninja Inferno, whatever the case is. Like that's just a whole different video. But I like the fact that it came preloaded with the LUTs for most of your basic cameras nowadays, whether it's Fuji, Red, Panasonic, Sony, like they are already there, but they have an SD card in which you can pop in real quick and load your LUTs on, so you don't have to, just in case you have like a custom LUT, you could definitely do that on here with the SD card reader. Now this is petty, but again, for the price point, and it kind of goes back to that, at $400, some of the stuff is just kind of like cheap, and like they kind of cheaped out on like the fact that they didn't provide a DC wall plug-in for this here. Like they give you the cable to like from DC to V mount, you know what I'm saying? So you can, if you can plug this to a V mount battery, like yeah, they have the adapter for that, but they don't give you the adapter for the wall. So I guess kind of like pick your poison. Again, just give me both. You know what I'm saying? Like, why not? But I guess, if some people had a choice there whether to choose out of the DC wall outlet. But for me, if I'm using it for a director's monitor, I'd rather have the DC, because I like to have plug-in power at all times if I can. So, again, that's something I feel like they should just included with the pricing of this. And like the little ball head they give you, don't use that joint. It's so cheap. I even threw that thing away. It wasn't even no point in me mentioning that thing. It's don't use it. Don't use it. It's very, very cheap. Now, the last pro about this monitor is, honestly, I think it's a great option for a director's monitor, because of how lightweight it is, because of how big the display is. You know, if you just need something for your client, for you to hook up your 400 Mars S, your Highlands Mars 400 S Pro, which I did for a live streaming event. Which, by the way, this kind of came in clutch, having this just so I could look at my monitor, like my angle from like across the room. Well, I wasn't like across the room. I was far enough essentially, but I was able to still see what was going on because I had this monitor hooked up to it. And again, if you do like a lot of narrative work in which doesn't require you doing like a lot of slow-mo stuff above 4K, then this is a great choice for a director's monitor. To give you something to give something to your client to view or to have on the stand. At that price point, I'm not mad at it. It leads me to my last comment. And then we're gonna go over my overall thoughts about this monitor, like, you know, if I recommend it or not. The fact that it doesn't support 4K 60, again, all of the other monitors that I named for you all, like, you know what I'm saying, whether it's, you know, they were mainly Atomos, but I think Small HD accepts 4K 60 well. But again, at this price point, in this day and age, for you not to take 4K 60, like literally, it just will not. Even if you turn 4K 60 onto your camera, it's not like it down samples this to like a 1080 60. Like, no, it just won't show up at all. And I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's too many competitors out there that do what you do better, has better build quality. So you're supposed to have all the bells and whistles. If you're gonna kind of cheap out on not having a touchscreen, if you're gonna cheap out on this terrible ass button, terrible ass ball head that you gave, you know, you may get like a little screen separation. At the very least, 4K 60 should have been a no-brainer. With that being said, out of all the pros and cons that I named about this monitor, you know, I guess the question is like, you know, do I say go buy it? Listen, I'm not one of those YouTubers who do that shit, B. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you're in the market for a monitor, then I'm giving you pros and cons so you check the monitor out for yourself. I will link it down in the description below, and I do get a kickback from Amazon if y'all do purchase it, right? But I'm not here to tell you if you should go buy something or not. I don't know what your pockets look like, but if you are in the market for a monitor, you have the pros and cons to make an educated decision for yourself now. Me personally, I still prefer like the Ninja Atomos monitor just because of the build quality and the touchscreen. But I do understand if some people who would like this monitor, who can look past the button, who can look past not having a touchscreen, but they just want something nice, big, and bright that has more nits than an Atomos, then this is an option for you. It is a good monitor. It is a great, you know, like, it's a good monitor. When I say great, nah, great is like a, you know, 5-star type of monitor. This is more like a 3-4 star for me. You know what I'm saying? Kind of close to 3.5, but I don't know if I can rank that on Amazon. But just because I appreciate their honesty, I think I gave them a 4-star on Amazon. But like, for real, for this like a 3.5 to 4-star monitor, there are other options out there. But if you look past the cons that I gave you, then hey, check it out for yourself. It's your boy Sean B, and I'm out, man. Deuces.